Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you may be watching this. Folks, we have to talk about this. Why is it that I was totally unaware, first, that the Middle East has a serious amphetamine drug problem going on? Like, why is that not like all over the news? The Middle East is in the middle of a battle with amphetamines, reminiscent of what happened with Hitler and the Nazis during World War II. We're going to get into this. Why? Because we're seeing this drug pop up in Europe and then trickle over into America. And this drug is bad. Listen to me. As a recovered addict of almost 6 years, I can tell you that methamphetamine is a doorway for evil spirits. I truly believe in my heart that when people are actively taking meth or the pharmaceutical company's version of meth, which is amphetamine based drugs, that they are almost, if not fully possessed, they are oppressed by demons. And the reason I say that is how it changes people. People who are addicted to methamphetamine, some of the behaviors you will see from them, it's a lack of empathy. They have no empathy. None. None at all. They're very self-centered. They're very focused. So could you imagine giving a terrorist or someone who's already psychotic, been raised to think that this behavior is okay, injuring other people based on their ethnicity, their color, their sex, or their religion is perfectly okay. Look, go ahead, go do it. And then you amp them up on amphetamines. You see where I'm going with that, right? Like you guys see that. So welcome back, everybody. My name is Samantha Starkey. I want to have this conversation with you because I am mind blown. First off, did you guys know that when the Hamas jihadist terrorist attacked Israel October 7th, 2023, in that terrorist attack, that they were high on Captagon amphetamines? I did not. Like, I feel like the news did not cover that well enough. And that as of right now, you're seeing it spread. So let me pull all this information up. So welcome back, everybody. Hope you guys are having a blessed and amazing day. It's pretty hot outside here in Southeast Louisiana. I was looking into the issue with the crazy cats going on. Have you guys seen that? Like the feral cats that are attacking. Oh, it's crazy. I may do a video on that later today, but it just depends on how much time I have. First, let me tell you what I did find. I found an article from October 28, 2023 that says Hamas militants were high on Captagon pills during the October 7th terrorist attack. It is a brand name for the synthetic stimulant, phenethylene hydrochloride. The militant group uses the drug to increase aggressiveness, alertness, and fearlessness. So it looks like that it's called on the street poor man's cocaine. It is highly addictive and it is a synthetic stimulant. God, I hate these pop-ups. That is widely consumed in the Middle East. And it was found on the bodies of Hamas prisoners and fighters. Yeah. It says Israeli security guards in the southern West Bank stopped thousands of Captagon pills hidden in a shipment of refrigerators from being smuggled into Gaza in January. Yeah, it was created in the 1960s in West Germany to help treat the condition attention deficit disorder, depression, narcolepsy. It was banned in the 1980s, but a clad-inside trade of counterfeit versions of the pills began in the Middle East. Its popularity is particularly blossomed in Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. Interesting. My brain's going everywhere. Inside the drug factories, how Captagon is fueling the war in Sudan. So, if you did not know, there is actually a genocide going on in the Middle East, and it is Muslims killing Christians. So, all these Christians are being killed in the Middle East, and it says fashionable with fighters and partygoers in the Middle East during the past decade that cheaply produced an addictive methamphetamine, which heightens concentration, increases physical stamina, and induces euphoria, has been the scourge of Arab governments. Until December, Syria was the primary production and export hub for Captagon, but the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government, which was heavily involved in the industry, exposed and shut down a raft of Captagon laboratories and routes used by smugglers. That's interesting. So the SAF the Sudanese armed forces, which has been at war with the RSF since April, forced them. Trying to find it. Hold on, guys. Wow, this facility contained 5 machines. 2 of those, a tablet press and an industrial mixer, had been in use when it was abandoned. So they're saying that, look at all this. Okay. Now, you guys may not know this. Let's see if I can pull this up. Why isn't it coming up? Oh, there it is. There it is. Move it back where I had it. Okay. All right. Let's do this. In February 11th, 2025, Sudan, in the last weeks of the Biden administration, the United States declared that Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, RSF, were guilty of committing an ongoing genocide in Sudan, citing the systematic murder of men and boys and widespread sexual violence against women and girls of the Masal ethnic group. The United States levied a raft of sanctions against the RSF, its leaders, and companies in the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, that have been supporting the group financially. The genocide declaration, late as it came in the Biden administration, drew comparisons to the first Trump administration's decision to declare China's actions against their Muslim community a genocide just one day before President Biden's 2021 inauguration. All right. So it says 165 churches have had to close since the war started in 2023. Some churches are used as bases for military operations in the war, with people sheltering there, forced out, or even killed to make way for soldiers. Members of the clergy have been targeted, with soldiers shooting or stabbing priests and others during their raids. This is really terrible, what's going on over there. And when you see a lot of these pictures that they're claiming are Gaza children starving, it's actually the Sudanese children. All right, so this I found in Time magazine, how methamphetamine became a key part of the Nazi military strategy. Why'd I bring this up? Because, listen to me, amphetamines, it goes on to say that while he, of course, did not have amphetamines in mind, he would no doubt have been impressed by their powerful, war-facilitating psychoactive effects. Amphetamines, often called pep pills, go pills, uppers, or speed, are a group of synthetic drugs that stimulate the central nervous system, reducing fatigue and appetite and increasing wakefulness and a sense of well-being. It says few drugs have received a bigger stimulus from war. So many, all right, history books will tell you about what happened with the Nazis, and even American pilots that were given methamphetamines to stay awake. Okay. It just, The Nazi ideology was fundamentalist in its anti-drug stance. Social use of drugs was considered both a sign of personal weakness and a symbol of the country's moral decay in the wake of traumatic and humiliating defeat in World War One. However, that's not so for World War II. Indeed, the little pill was the perfect Nazi drug. Germany awake, the Nazi had commanded. Energizing and confidence boosting, methamphetamine played into the Third Reich's obsession with physical and mental superiority. In sharp contrast to drugs such as heroin or alcohol, methamphetamines were not about escapist pleasure. Rather, they were taken for hyper alertness and vigilance. Aryans, who were the embodiment of human perfection in Nazi ideology, could not even aspire to be superhuman and could even now aspire to be superhuman. And such superhumans could be turned into super soldiers. We don't need weak people, Hitler declared. We want only the strong. Guys, a lot of the scientists that worked for Germany, worked for Hitler, who did the most horrific things to the Jewish people and, well, the German people that wouldn't obey them. Those people came to America. Those scientists were brought in and allowed into our country. Now, I want you guys to hear this was very interesting.
What is Captagon, and how did it evolve into a billion-dollar industry? Captagon, also nicknamed Abu Hilalain in Arabic, is an amphetamine-type stimulant that was originally manufactured in Germany in 1961 as a treatment for attention deficit disorder, narcolepsy, and other conditions. The original chemical profile of Captagon contained phenethylene, a synthetic drug that the body metabolizes into amphetamines, and theophylline, a caffeine-like substance that intensifies and hastens the effects of amphetamines. Counterfeit and newer versions of Captagon made in the Middle East are cheaper and easier to produce due to the inclusion of more readily available substances like methamphetamine, caffeine, and sometimes ephedrine. The unique properties of the drug are said to increase alertness, boost concentration and physical performance, and provide an overall feeling of well-being. By the 1980s, Captagon had become a popular recreational drug in Europe. However, in the later half of the decade, the drug was banned in most countries due to its negative side effects, which include derealization, hallucinations, agitation, and a decrease in pain perception. Through trade, Captagon's grip extends far beyond Syria. The country has access to Mediterranean shipping lanes like the port of Latakia, and has established smuggling routes to access other countries in the region. Captagon has sunk deep roots in neighboring Lebanon, the second biggest manufacturer of the pill and a key waypoint in its trade. While the drugs are smuggled from Syria into Jordan and Iraq, extending further to reach Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Oman, other routes lead via Beirut's air and seaports. Numerous reports have also claimed that Lebanese Shia group Hezbollah plays a key role in facilitating the distribution of Captagon across the region.
Much like what the American CIA did, right, with heroin and poppy. It is how they fund their wars. So crazy. So crazy. But I want to share this with all of you because I think this is like really important. And I don't think many Americans or people in the West really understand what is happening. Okay, so 10 things you weren't taught about the conflict in Israel. 1, Arabs launched a massive world conquest 1400 years ago, taking most of the Middle East and much of Africa, Europe, and Asia. They ethnically and culturally cleansed everywhere they went and everywhere they go today. Rome and Mecca created state religions borrowing heavily from existing traditions, including Judaism, which they theologically sought to replace. Both empires sought to control minds. 3, state temples often replaced sacred sites in conquered areas. Zeus was placed in Jerusalem and later mosque. Thousands of temples were destroyed or replaced across the Middle East, India, and Europe. Ancient Judean kings previously destroyed goddess temples. The West has not exercised its hate of Jews and pagans institutionalized by Rome. The global Muslim society is openly and brazenly anti Semitic and xenophobic. 5, Judeans are indigenous to Judea. Arabs are from Arabia. The conflict isn't about land, it's about political control. So it just goes on, guys. The thing, and I think what a lot of people are not understanding, how do you guys feel about all these Gazans that were coming in California and Texas? I mean, I'm just curious. Have you heard about that? Because they did. It says here, Laura Loomer put something out and she said, exclusive. Despite the U.S. saying that we are not accepting Palestinian refugees into the United States under the Trump administration, I have obtained video footage of Palestinians who claim to be refugees from Gaza coming into the United States via San Francisco and Houston, Texas this month, August of 2025. The Palestinians traveled from Gaza to the U.S. with the help of a group called Heal Palestine. How did Palestinians get visas under the Trump administration to get into the United States? Did State Department approve this? How did they get out? How did they get out of Gaza? Is Secretary Rubio aware of this? Who from the State Department is assisting Heal Palestine? Why are any Islamic invaders coming into the U.S. under the Trump administration? Who approved the visas? How many more are being given visas to come into the U.S. and why are Gavin Newsom and Greg Abbott harboring Palestinian refugees in California and Texas? This is a national security threat. We didn't vote for more Islamic immigration into the United States. Who signed off on these visas? They should be fired. And then, of course, you've got people claiming that this is a lie, that, there are no Palestinians flying. And then you've got the other group. Well, these are injured children. How could you deny them health care? Folks, Israel is taking injured children from Gaza and their families into Israel for health care if they need it. They literally can go right there into Israel and get health care. I'm being so serious with you right now. Not to mention, you've got the entire Middle East. Why would Muslims fly all the way to America under an NGO, a nonprofit, a non-governmental organization, a nonprofit? Why would they come here? That's 18 hours on a flight. If you're severely injured and sick, 18 hours on a flight is not the option. You've got the UAE. You've got some really beautiful countries over there with just as good medical care as you can get in the United States. Why are they coming here? Why? I want you guys to answer that. Do you know how much that's going to cost American taxpayers? And it was on the Qatar airline. So when you listen to Tucker Carlson, who used to speak out against Sharia law, now laughing about, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Who's afraid of the Muslims? Tucker, Qatar pays you. Did a video on that a while back. And somebody else said this is only the first few. There are many more coming. This is how they work. This is how the Muslim Brotherhood operates. Somebody else says, why are Palestinians a protected class? Where was the help for the Christians, Druze, and Alawites in Syria? The Christians in Congo? This is unacceptable. And then I want somebody to answer, why won't Egypt take them? Nobody wants them, folks. And I promise you, do not want any more Islamic believing people in this country. Watch.
Sahar. Go follow him. He's a master of debunking anti-Israel videos. The link will be below. He was reviewing another video that shows how Muslims want to take over America by creating closed Muslim-only communities. Throughout the video, he said several times that the West needs to wake up.
It's already happening, guys. Wake up. So people in the UK, chop chop, it's time to wake up. Yet it's happening as we speak. So wake the frick up.
I agree and I disagree.
And here's the thing. Where were they trying to put that big city, right? Right there in the middle of Texas. What is up with Greg Abbott? People in Texas, do y'all trust him? Do y'all trust him? Why do I feel like there's something there about Greg Abbott? I haven't put my finger on yet. Is he trustworthy, or is he another Soros World Economic Forum puppet that just wants open borders, one world religion, which will be Chrislam, or how they say it, it's either Chrislam or Catholicism. It's like Islam and this Catholic SSPX mix will be the one world religion.
West doesn't need to wake up. Waking up is for those who are asleep, unaware. What the West really needs to do is something much harder. It needs to admit it was wrong and change course. And fast. Multiculturalism is the idea that no culture is better than other, that it is all just in the eye of the beholder. In a moment, I will show you how easy it is to disprove this nonsense. Political correctness makes it so that if you do notice cultural differences, and we all know they exist, you are not supposed to say anything. Definitely not criticize it, because of the danger of being labeled a racist. I'm not a multiculturalist. I hope you aren't either. Let me be clear, when it comes to the unimportant things, skin color, clothing, music, food, sure, why not? Who cares if your skin is darker or lighter, or whether you like rice more than pasta? You can identify as whatever you want. Do you do a good job? I will hire you. But when it comes to the essentials, the fundamental values, democracy, women's rights, equality before the law, these are not negotiable. And our Western society must be absolutely clear about that. There are ways of life that cannot be tolerated. Nazism, communism, and Sharia law, which a large number of Muslims want to push into the West. Let's give concrete examples. Women's rights. Do you believe women have equal rights to men? If so, are you willing to accept a culture where women do not? Let's say I tell you that in my culture, it is acceptable to beat women. That in my family, it's a tradition. My grandfather beat my grandmother. My father beat my mother. And I beat my wife. Is that acceptable? Or if in my culture, a woman is considered property of the man at the head of the family, is that acceptable? That's Sharia law. By the way, the age of marriage, or to be precise, the age at which girls are married off, is very low. Is that acceptable too? So, do you believe in multiculturalism, or do you believe in women's rights? You can't have both. Another example. One of the best things about the West, something we take for granted, is equality before the law. Under Sharia, non-Muslims have an inferior status called dhimmi and must pay a special tax called jizya. That's only for Jews and Christians. Members of all other religions are to be executed. That's also the punishment for living Islam. So again, the question, do you believe in multiculturalism and accept that non-Muslims must pay special taxes, or are you a decent human being with moral backbone? How many Muslims in the West want to see Sharia implemented? Depends on the poll in the country, but it ranges between 30 and 50%. That's not a small number. And here is another thing. In Muslim countries, it is always, or almost always, the religious extremists who end up on top. I'm always amazed by how quickly Western Europe forgot that thousands of Muslims who were born and raised in the West joined ISIS and committed the worst barbaric crimes. This happened just 10 years ago in Syria. 20 years from now, it will happen in Britain's cities. The signs are already visible. You can also see it in the general level of violence. I love how the media frames violence incidents, sexual assaults, and riots under the vague label migrants. Are those migrants from India? Maybe Chinese migrants are throwing stones at the police? Or is it, Western Europeans who allow Sharia law are like people watering the tree on which they will be hanged. So what can be done? The first thing is not even against anything. It is for something, for Western values.
I think he's correct. I think he's 100% correct. I want freedom for people. As much as I love Jesus, I understand this core tenet to Christianity. God gives you free will. He gives you free will. He gives me free will. Isn't that amazing? Like, if I give my life to Jesus, which I have, but if you give your life to Jesus, it's because you want to. It's because you want to. That is what America was built on. Free will, freedom. Choose. Do I want to homeschool my child? Do I want to put my child in a private school, a Christian school, a public school? It is my choice. Do I want to with the C vaccine or do I not? Do I have the right to point out neoconservatives and the lies coming from the East? Do y'all know how much money is being pumped into the right-wing media, the right-wing influencers, and our politicians from the East right now? It's not Israel. Israel, AIPAC, is not making that much of a difference in your life. But Iran is, and Qatar is. We have created the monsters that are now underneath our beds. What are you going to do? Do you want your daughter forced to wear a garment that covers her entirety from her head to her feet? Forced, not a choice, forced to wear it. Do you believe that if a man assaults your daughter, your granddaughter, or yourself, ladies, that you should be punished for him not being able to control himself? Everybody's so worried about this. And by the way, I did some more research on what happened in Las Vegas. The Israeli government official that was trolling for children, the pedo, he was arrested, he bonded out, and he flew back to Israel. He was not sent back scot-free. He has a court date coming up. But do you realize that in Muslim countries and in Africa, that they marry off children as young as 8 years old, little girls? What is that? You're just not going to say anything about that? Your enemy is not Israel. Your enemy is Egypt, Syria, Iran. It's Islamic terrorist. It's Islam. in a whole. It's the Muslim religion in a whole. As a Christian, I believe in the exact same God the Jewish people believe in. That is not so with the Muslims. Guys, we do not get paid on YouTube. And though I can reapply September 10th, who knows? If you'd like to support our work, please look in the top of comments. By the way, as recently published, you can purchase our book, Growing Under a Poison Sky. You can get that on Amazon, Kindle, but I am auctioning off 4 books with my signature. I'm trying to raise money because my husband does have a brain aneurysm, and we've got a lot of work we're going to be missing when they do surgeries coming up. And I'm trying to get ahead of that. I'm trying to be a Proverbs woman, trying to stand. The Lord tells me he's going to bless the works of my hand. This is the works of my hand. So I'm doing what God told me to do. I'm stepping in and I'm being equally yoked with my husband. Guys, I just don't understand how people honestly don't see the money being poured into our country from China, even Russia, Qatar, millions and millions of dollars to influence the people you listen to on social media. But people won't even spend the time to look the information up yourselves. Everything I've talked about in this video will be located in the description of the video. I love you guys so much. I hope that this ripped off the scales. I hope this freed your mind, at least made you realize that there are 2 sides to every single story. Be blessed, friends.